an oxygen sensor before and after each catalytic converter. So this vehicle has 4 oxygen sensors. So what we're going to do first, I just want to see if there's any trouble codes. If you have a code, then you want to diagnose it from that angle. So we're going to hit read fault codes, and it says here display DTC display. So let's see if there's any codes. Okay, we do have a brake switch circuit high voltage code, but nothing related to catalytic converters or oxygen sensors. Okay, so I'll have to look into the brake switch circuit code. It does say the last test it ran. Well, it didn't run the test yet. All right, so we're gonna back out. We're gonna go back into reading data. So right here we have read data stream. Okay, so we're looking for something to monitor the oxygen sensor. So HO2S data is heated oxygen sensor data. I'm going to click on that one. Now I'm going to pick the 4 oxygen sensors. And what we can see here is this is the HO2S Bank 1 sensor one. So this is on cylinder number 1 side of the engine. It's the first oxygen sensor. And then HO2S Bank 1 sensor 2 would be the oxygen sensor after the catalytic converter on the cylinder number 1 side of the engine. And then over here, here's HO2S Bank 2 sensor 1. So this is on cylinder 2 side of the engine, first sensor. And this is HO2S Bank 2 sensor 2. So that's cylinder 2 side of the engine after the catalytic converter. Okay, so at this point we can hit confirm, and we'll see what kind of information we see here. All right, so we have all 4 sensors on the screen. Now what we can do to see them better is graph it. So we're gonna actually go to graph at the bottom here. Okay, so they're actually showing all 3 sensors, or actually 4 sensors here. I'm going to accelerate it a little to warm up the catalytic converters. If we're idling too long, sometimes the converters will cool down. You can see this is the first oxygen sensor. Bank 1 sensor 1, pretty active. Over here on the right or the left hand side is 0 to 1500 millivolts. So usually the range of an oxygen sensor is going to be 0 to about 1000 millivolts, and right now you can see it jumping up and down. That's varying the voltage, which is good. We're going to back out. Let's look at let's just let it idle and see. Okay, this is the oxygen sensor after the catalytic converter. And if you look at the signal, it's not varying like the first one. Relatively steady. The reading doesn't have to be in any particular place. It just has to be relatively steady as compared to that one, which is going up and down, which is basically controlling the fuel mixture. Rich, lean, rich, lean, rich, lean. This one here is more telling us that the converter's working. If the computer sees varying voltage like the first one, up and down, that's when it's going to set a code for a bad catalytic converter. I believe the one converter will set a PO420, which is inefficient activity or inefficient catalyst. Let's see what the other one's doing. So this is the oxygen sensor on the right hand side, cylinder number 2 side of the engine. So you can see that's pretty active, up and down. Okay, and then if we look at the oxygen sensor after the converter, this one's nice and steady. Okay, so that's the other converter on the cylinder number 2 side of the engine. And again, this is what the other one's doing. So the other one's kind of like cooling down. Once it cools down, when I'm idling, it's going to start getting active again. So when I accelerate and hold it steady, once we heat that converter up, a lot more steadier. Okay. So again, if the computer sees a lot of activity on the first sensor and the one after the converter, you can see there's, between these two, you can see a dramatic difference between those two. And if you look at these two, you can see that those look a lot different. That's telling us that our converter is operating. Now there was talk, and maybe in the future they might do this, is they want the converter to have a heater built inside it. And the idea of that is to try to keep it hot all the time, because when you're stuck in traffic for a length of time, the converter can actually cool down and not be efficient anymore. It only works when the converter's hot. So if you're stuck in traffic for a length of time, it will actually not change the mixture, won't be able to convert the gases anymore to make them clean. So the idea is if we put a heater inside it, it will heat it up and keep it operating. But that increases the cost of the catalytic converter pretty significantly. All right, so I just wanted to show you how you could monitor catalytic converters with an OBD2 equipped vehicle.